Meeting is now live streaming. I think we are doing it. We're doing the thing.
Awesome sauce.
We are. Okay. Yay. Hello, everybody. Pastor Sarah here. Just so you know, this is going live on our YouTube, our Facebook. We have a Twitch channel. Not that anybody looks at anything on our Twitch channel, but it's going live on Twitch. So yay, somebody could watch this on Twitch. It's going live on our Twitter and then on my personal Facebook page as well. So welcome to you, Alicia. Do you want to just kind of share a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks so much for having this chat between us. I'm so excited to share a little bit more about the incredible School of Restorative Arts. But first, I am Pastor Alicia Reese. I pastor in Oak Lawn, Illinois. I've been in Chicagoland for about 12 plus, maybe 13 years at this point. My husband and myself and our two kids live on the Southwest side. And so we just adore the city of Chicago. We haven't been able to get away from it yet. We came here originally as working actors. And so I have a background in the arts, and that's a great love of mine. And then God called me into ministry. And I have been so amazed at the way that God has brought both of those passions of mine together, specifically at the prison.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the reason that I wanted to chat with Alicia and kind of put this out on our broader channels today is this Sunday, I'm going to take a break from preaching this Sunday, and Alicia is going to preach for me, but she's in Chicago. And in fact, she's already preached this sermon. So what it's actually going to be is a video of the sermon that she preached for her own church. And she was gracious enough to say, absolutely, we can pass that on. And so I was so excited that everybody on our channels and are connected to our church too are going to be able to hear this. So the School of Restorative Arts, it's through North Park Seminary, right? Which is where I went to seminary. And did you go to seminary there too? Okay. I didn't know if you were just a part of this program or if you also went to the seminary. And so I have the video queued up, but maybe, I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about it first, or should I show the video first? What do you think makes more sense?
We can basically go into the video, maybe just a few brief sentences so people kind of know what we're looking at. The School of Restorative Arts is an educational program inside Stateville Correctional Center, which is in Joliet, Illinois, on the southwest side of kind of Chicagoland. And the program was started 3-4 years ago. It started as just a certificate program, and through the grace of God has become, and the very hard blood, sweat, and tears of Michelle Clifton Soderstrom, has become a full-blown master's program that we now offer to both inside and outside students.
I didn't actually know that. So that's really, really cool.
It's just so incredible. And there's a lot of really amazing things happening kind of within the program of the School of Restorative Arts that I'd love to chat with you guys a little more about after the video, but why don't we let folks see it and they can come to
All right. So let's see if I can do this right. I'm going to share that one. I shared sound, and then I'm going to push play.
The education that I receive and this hope that I have that I'll be able to use it in the world to bring something good in the lives of other individuals, I think that's more than a degree itself.
I want to help end that cycle, the cycle that I grew up in, because it's vicious.
I realize that my calling is teaching, but teach God's word in a way that is powerful, uplifting, positive, and liberating.
I don't see those barriers any longer. And so that's the one thing that I actually look forward to doing when I get out with this education, is breaking down those barriers, because I know them to be anti-gospel.
Without this course, I still would be wondering what's going to happen with me, But now it's just, I have so much hope. I have so much hope, that this is something that's getting me prepared for something that God has in store for me.
We hosted a Lauren Daigle concert at Stateville. They were going to be singing along with some of the men to do a couple of joint pieces for everybody, and she said to me, please don't let this be the last time I'm in here. We need to be in here. And when they were singing the last song, which was one of the Gaither hymns, Something Beautiful, Something Good, one of my students, my outside students, turned to me and said, the gospel sounds really different in here. Every word that we sing about all the time, freedom, liberation, forgiveness, it means something really different in here. And there was one moment when we went into the Panopticon, and the environment is so inhumane that most of them in the world shut down, and this particular one shut down last year. We went in there into that space, which is a space that can feel like visiting a site where you know people have died, have suffered. When we went in there, we were silent for a moment, and Lauren Daigle just started singing Amazing Grace in this space, and it echoed off the walls. And I thought, this is analogous, that there is redemption happening everywhere, and who are we to keep the walls that human beings put up? Who are we to keep people out and to think that God isn't working inside the walls just as he is working outside those walls? Because the barriers that human beings make between themselves and other human beings are anti-gospel.
Wow. That's really cool. I know.
I miss them. I miss my friends so much. We haven't seen them in over a year in person because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So, how did you get involved with the program? What has it been like to participate?
Yeah, well, I think the best way to sum it up is that it's literally been the greatest privilege of my life. And it has absolutely changed my life. So I first encountered the program when it was just beginning, and it was a certificate program that was kind of being piloted. And I was finishing my MDiv and needed another credit for internship. And so I was told, hey, this could qualify as it. And I was like, all right. And I'm an Enneagram 8. So they're like, you got to go inside a prison. And I was like, let's do it. So I don't think I was really prepared though for what took place that first semester. As I sat in this room with many of the guys that you saw on that video, and we shared a kind of beloved community that I had just never experienced before anywhere. And I've grown up, spent my entire life in the church, given my life now to serving the church as a pastor. And that kind of community I've not seen replicated anywhere else. And there was something really holy that happened in that dank, run down, broken down classroom in the middle of the prison. Something beautiful really came out of what seemed like such a dark place. And it is a dark place. And so it's been this real like both and experience of being in this like dark, horrible place that's so filled with death and darkness, and yet to find this light and warmth and beloved community in a way I haven't anywhere else has just been incredible. So after that first experience, I graduated and was off into pastoral ministry, but was still in Chicagoland, and just told Michelle, like, I just feel like God is really calling me into this. I feel like this is supposed to be part of who I am as a pastor and a person. And could I keep participating? And so I did for a couple of years. I just showed up, would, go to classes, and some of them were the same classes I had just taken, New Testament or Old Testament or a history class. But it was incredible to relearn through their eyes, because they provided such a different perspective than anything I had learned in seminary. And so through that formed these really incredible friendships with so many of them, but also started to notice how important story was. That, before I had come to Stateville, mass incarceration and racial inequality in our justice system and all of those things, they were just statistics to me. I grew up very privileged, I didn't have to ever think about it. And if you had told me a whole list of statistics, I wouldn't have cared. But when I got to know my friends there and I heard their stories, they changed me. And I realized that they were more than the worst thing they had ever done. as we all are. Thank God. The world just doesn't happen to know our rap sheet the same way
Right.
it does theirs. And so saw the ways that they shared those stories, but shared them through the arts, through song, through rap, through spoken word, through poetry, through art. And being an artist myself really connected with that. And so approached Michelle in 2019 about like, hey, could I pilot this thing called Restory? We didn't have the name at the time, but could I try out this cohort of some of these guys in the program that would allow us to process their story through theater and improv, but not just process it, but tell it to the world, because they were such powerful stories. And because Michelle's amazing, she was like, yeah, let's do it. And she and Vicki Reddy, who's the assistant director of the School of Restorative Arts, have been instrumental in helping Restory become a thing. And so in the fall of 2019, I took a cohort of about 17 people. I think we had 15 incarcerated students and 2 outside students. And we just started using improv, and in particular using yes and as a way to process our stories. And I think watching my friends there say yes and to their story, to be able to look at their story and say, yeah, and I'm transformed, and I'm forgiven, and I'm redeemed, and that's not all I am, and God's still working on me, I think has truly shown me grace in a way I've never seen before, and helped me say yes and to my own life and my own story. And so that's what we're aiming to do with Restory. We want to help folks see the yes and of everyone's story, including my friends who are incarcerated. And so we put together a performance piece based on their stories that was supposed to premiere last year at Victory Gardens Theater in Chicago, but has all since, gone on pause because of the pandemic. But we're really excited post-pandemic to be able to continue that work.
Well, that's great. And so this sermon that was preached, it's a little unique that you preached a few weeks ago that we're going to see on Sunday, in that it was done in partnership with one of the incarcerated students. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, my good friend, Jamal Bakr, who I've known, he was in that first class that I was in, that first experience at Stateville. And he and I have gotten to know each other over my 3+ years there. And he is a powerful preacher. I mean, his story is powerful. The way that he knows the word and lives it, the way that he demonstrates kingdom values in like the darkest place you can imagine. I mean, he's such a light in the prison, and that's kind of how he is to everyone. He's known for going around giving hugs. He really is just this bright light, this incredibly warm, wonderful person, but he's also like a social justice warrior. He's an Enneagram 8 like me. And so he just has this drive and this desire to see the world changed for the gospel. And so last year, my friend, Pastor Jeff Hunter, got to preach one of our other incarcerated students a sermon they had worked on together. And it was so powerful. I had approached Vicki and Michelle and said, oh, I mean, if we can't be in there, we can at least bring their words out, right? Can I do this? And so I wrote to Jamal and said, hey, I would love to work together with you on a sermon that we could co-write and co-preach in some way. And what do you think? And he said, sure, of course. But he had already written a sermon, this incredible sermon on Paul and Silas in prison. And he shared it with me and he said, you can tear it up, do whatever, mark it up, change it up, put everything in. But when I read it, I was so transformed. I was like, it doesn't need anything else. It was the word. And I felt like it was the word God had for the church. And I didn't need to change anything about it. So instead, I, at the end of the sermon, after I preached Jamal's words, I tack on a couple paragraphs of my own kind of thoughts and reflections on what he has preached. Okay. I am just so honored that he trusted me with his words, and truly was changed myself by preaching the words that God had given him.
Okay, so this Sunday, when people tune in and hear the word preached, it is through your mouth and lungs but it is the words and through the Holy Spirit, of course, from Jamal Bakr, actually,
Yeah.
in Stateville Prison. A light in a dark place and a powerful preacher. Okay, well, that's so exciting. And I think it's so special too that in another dimension too, in this sermon, you really get to use your gifts and skills as you are delivering his words, right? Which is part of the job of an actor, is delivering those words. So even though you're not acting, you get to use a lot of those skills in presenting this sermon too.
Yeah, I felt I really got the opportunity to embody his words the best that I could. And I got to live into the sassy side of myself a little more than maybe I normally get to do. But it was just so powerful, not just for me spiritually, but even like physically, to really be able to embody those incredible words and to know that they had come from the Holy Spirit, and now holding them, with such care and trying to communicate them well. It really was a completely embodied experience, and just really incredible and grateful again that Jamal did that.
So you mentioned it's been now over a year since you've been able to be with them in person and actually kind of do what you do in the with the program and with the school and with Restory as well. I'm sure you've been keeping up as best as possible. What have things been like for them? I mean, we all kind of experienced it on the outside. We know how difficult, stressful, crazy the world has been for the students and those in Stateville Correctional Facility. What's your impression, or what have you heard of what it's been like?
Yeah. Well, it has been a little hard to communicate just because of the pandemic. We have been able to continue some of our classes through correspondence. The conditions in the prison weren't great to begin with, but in the beginning, it was, if you can imagine how terrified we all were, right, of getting sick. And so we all wore our masks and even our gloves and stayed home and got our groceries delivered if we could. And all of the things we did to try and stay safe, and still somehow felt like, oh my gosh, it's inescapable. Now imagine being in a crowded prison where it's not even possible to be 6 feet apart from the next person. And in the beginning, you don't even have the ability to wash your hands or use hand sanitizer or have masks. I think it was terrifying, and it just spread through there like wildfire. A lot of our students got sick. A lot of our students, we lost 2 of our students to COVID. One of them, Rusty, who his picture was in the video you watched. He was in Restory in my arts cohort. And he died pretty early on from COVID. And I'll never forget, the last day I was in there was about mid-March of 2020. And we just finished our class and we were on our way out. And when it's time to go, it's time to go. When when the correctional officers say it's time to leave, you go. And so usually we don't get a lot of time to, say all our goodbyes. And I remember Rusty saying, oh, Alicia, there's something I really want to tell you and talk to you about with Restory. And I said, great, we'll talk about it when I'm back in 2 weeks. And I never got to see him again. He died. And I had the privilege, along with Sherilyn Kane and Jeff Hunter, of co-officiating his memorial service over Zoom, which was a first for me. So I think it's been really terrifying. They've been basically on lockdown. I don't know exactly where they are right now, so I don't want to speak to currently what's going on in the prison, but I know in the beginning they were on lockdown. They weren't able to call their families. They weren't able to go outside. And so, that just kind of increased the anxiety of it all. Yeah, it was even scarier for them than it was for us. I know that.
Yeah. So I know one of the things you passed on to me, that if people would like to reach out to at least correspondence way, reach out and be supportive of the students in the program, that there is some sort of a pen pal program. And so I'm going to put that, if that's all right with you, in the chat for people. Oops, wrong email from you. That email. So it's through, you email Vicki Reddy, and that is, and then you can get connected to that program. But also, this program, it's a lot of it is funded through donations, right? That's what makes this possible, because I have to imagine the red tape and the cost of this, because it's not on campus and all of that. It can be hard and complicated, which costs more money.
Yeah. And the university certainly has partnered with us, and we apply for grants, which help. I think what's hard is that we have a grant for the larger program, the School of Restorative Arts, the Master of Christian Arts degree that we are offering. But some of the other things that have come out of this work, like Restory, like we have a newly formed reentry group that seeks to help folks who are coming out of prison re-enter and have housing and a job and finish school if they've been in our program and were released before they finish. And those things right now, are being funded just by donation. And so we also are always fundraising for books, for money for books and materials and stuff like that to get in. So we would greatly appreciate if God has put on your heart to support the work that's happening at the prison with our reentry group, with Restory. We would just love any support that folks felt God was asking them to give.
Well, as somebody who enjoys the dramatic arts, though I don't have maybe formal experience in education like you, I love the idea of the Restore, and I do think the arts are so powerful and a powerful gift that God has given us to do the work that God has called us to. And so I'm so thrilled to hear about that work that you are doing and how it really is already moving and changing lives. And I know that it will do that even more as you're able to start presenting those things. But y'all, Sunday, you got to tune in. And even if you can't catch it on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock on all our channels, or you can join us live as well in person at our church outside on the lawn at 10 a.m. You'll be able to watch it later on our channels too. So I definitely will want to write to your partner, your writing partner. Well, really, it was his sermon, to Jamal, and say thank you to him for preaching the good word, and thank you for sharing it with us too, Alicia.
Thanks. I'm actually writing him this weekend about how, when I preached a few weeks ago at my church. So if folks had, feedback they wanted, you can always pass that along to me too, and I'd be happy to put that into my letter to him.
Okay.
But then we can also connect you and anyone else with the writing letters program. It's a fantastic program. It's run by Melissa Pavlik, who's our writing guru at North Park. And it's just such an incredible way to get connected and become a part of this wonderful, beloved community.
That's awesome. Okay, so how would they get that to you if they wanted to?
They can send it to you if you want. If your folks want to send it to you, and then you could pass it along to
me. Is great. We can do that. And you're on Instagram at I just saw the
acting pastor.
The acting pastor. I'm the pastor farmer, so I've got my little branding going on too.
Yeah, you can find me on Insta at the acting pastor, on LinkedIn there, and then I do have a Facebook page for Restory as well. So there's all ways that you can connect if you want to learn more or connect with me to ask more questions.
Alicia, thank you again. Thank you for sharing.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna say bye to everybody. Thanks for joining, and hopefully see you on Sunday. I'm